Hello, everybody. I'm Laura Peterson, your host of Central Florida Real Estate Radio. I'm from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. In order to discuss the sale of your home, you can call or text 407-566-2555. That's 407-566-2555. So basically, starting off today, as always, going to go over the stats in regards to what's happening here, in Central Florida. And the number of single family homes was 424 last week, up from 409 the week before. So again, very consistent. The median price of a single family home was 429.7, which was up slightly. I believe it was 425 the week before, so just up a smidge. And basically, the inventory increased by 140, so now it's at 7412. So if you're wondering what that really means, is that comes out to 4.03 months of inventory, which a normal market is 4 to 6. So we're right there at that at this point in time. So it's kind of changing from a seller's market to a buyer's market. And we've been kind of in process on that for quite a while, but we're still in that. But when you look at specific neighborhoods, specific price points, you'll wonder if that's all true. So of those 424, 26 of them were under 250,000. 38 of them were between 250 and 300, 111 between 300 and 400, 110 between 400 and 500, and then 119 between 500 and a million. So looking at the months of inventory, under 250, there's 3.6, 2.1 between 250 and 300, 3.06 between 300 and 400, 3.14, 400 to 500, 5.56, 500 to a million, and then over a million, we're at 9.46. So basically, when you get up into those higher price ranges is what's going on right now, is that we don't have we have an overabundance of inventory in the over 500 and that kind of thing. And I think that the bottom line is that with the interest rates where they're at and all of that, that people, not as many people qualify as there are houses that are for sale at that price point. And so that's kind of what the bottom line is in that. When you're looking at the days to contract overall, it's at 51. And the only one that's over that really is actually the 250 to 300 were at 66, and 75 was over a million. But it comes down to every neighborhood. And I always tell everybody that the best thing for you to do if you're looking to see what's going to happen with your house is to actually just get in touch with us, and we can sit down and do an analysis and look at it and see what's going on. Because basically, my experience is that if you price your property right, it's going to go very quickly. If it is priced a little bit high, then it's going to take a little bit longer to sell. And unfortunately, that's kind of what's going on. And my opinion is let's just get it done and get it sold quickly. And you're going to get, it's always going to come up to market value. I was telling somebody the other day that I was telling them that any house can be sold in 7 days. And you might think, well, that sounds kind of crazy, but basically it all comes down to marketing and what you do, first of all, but then second of all, it does come down to pricing, and pricing will always end up at market. So basically, if you wanted to sell your house in 7 days, then what you would do is you would price it very aggressively. And what I mean by very aggressively, in as much as 50% of what the value is. And you might think that's crazy. And when you first hear it, you think it is. But then what happens is that you actually look at it and see what happens. So if you put your house on the market at 50% of value, you advertise the heck out of it. We did an open house, several days in a row to get as many people in it as possible. And those people, as they were coming in, would be putting down their interest level and pretty much bidding on the house at that point in time. Then what you could do actually on Sunday is say you did the open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. On Sunday at 6 o'clock, which just kind of a magical time there, but basically you could do a round robin auction. So what you do is you go around and you say, okay, you're at 300 on this house. Will you go to 300, 500, $300,500? And so you keep going by $500 increments until you get to the highest point, that anybody's going to go. And believe it or not, it's going to come up to market because, when you're going up at those increments, I mean, at first it's going up by 20, 40, 50, 100,000 to get it up to close to market. But then when you've got two or three people left, it's like they're really thinking, am I really going to give up this house for $500 or 1,000? And they probably are not. And so as a result of that, you always end up at market price when you do that. And so when your house is exposed to more people, then obviously you're going to get more people bidding on it, more people wanting it, and create that auction type atmosphere where you get more money. And that's actually, what a lot of people want, but we have so many options for people today that you don't even have to put it on the market, that you can just go ahead and sell it to somebody. And, you're going to pay a little bit of a premium for that service, but believe it or not, it's not as much as you think. It's probably only going to be about 5 or 6% with the companies that we work with. And so it's really not a bad deal at all when you're looking at that. Some other stats that I usually talk about today is the list to asking price, which right now overall we're at 97.06. Under 250, it was at 92.64. Over a million was at 94.2. And then all the rest of them in the single family homes were 96 or 97 or 98. And so totally in that rate. When you're looking at the condos, townhomes, and villas, the median price there was 278, 750, which is obviously a lot less than the 429, 700 for the single family homes. There were 120 of those that sold last week, and their inventory increased by 37 to 3665. So how that all shakes down and what that looks like, I will be mentioning to you here. Basically what that comes down to, I just keep going past my sheet here. All right, so of the 120, 53 of them are under 250, 13 between 250 and 300, 28 between 300 and 400, 15 between 400 and 500, 11, 500 and a million, and none of them sold over a million. There's 24 of them on the market that are over a million, however. Of the months of inventory, we're starting at 7.05 versus 4 for the single family homes. And so I think a lot of that is the condos and a lot of the stuff that's been going on with the extended regulations and everything that's out there ever since the last couple of years since that Surfside deal happened, that there's a lot more regulation going on in inspections in condos. And so that's happening right now. But they're selling overall at 97.5 of asking. Under 250 was at 95.94, and all the rest of them, they're in the 97s, 98s, actually 98 pretty much all the way across the board. Average days to contract for condos, townhomes, and villas was 75, so a little bit higher than the single family homes. But just gives you a little bit of an idea in regards to what's going on in the market and everything at this point in time. And so in order to get in touch with us, you can call or text 407-566-2555. You can find us online at centralfloridarealestateradio.com, and we will see you after the break. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Laura Peterson, your host of Central Florida Real Estate Radio. I'm from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and in order to discuss the sale of your home, you can call or text 407-566 2555. That's 407-566-2555. And you can just call if you have a question. You don't have to call it specifically to discuss the sale of your home. But if you want to do that, we're more than welcome. You're more than welcome to do that as well. Well, there's a couple things that I wanted to let everybody know that this year or this month or whatever that they've come out where people really want to live in America. And Americans value sunshine, safety, and affordability. And so Florida tops the list of the most desirable state to live. And Orlando is in the top 5 when it comes to cities. Actually, 73% of Americans say they like where they live. 59% said that they get frustrated with their home city or state, and 43% are embarrassed by their state, according to a study by Clever Real Estate. Out of the thousands Americans asked about where they do and don't want to live, nearly 6 in 10 live where they've always lived. However, 84% said they could be convinced to move to another city or state. So basically, when they're looking at where they want to go to and all of that kind of stuff, is that the number one city that they want to go to is Tampa. And the reason that that one is higher than Orlando is basically because of the price point, because Tampa's median value of homes, now this is homes and condos and everything all together, is 361,177, and Orlando's is 379,039. So we're roughly about 18,000 higher than Tampa. And so that had a bearing in regards to where people wanted to live. But basically the top city is Tampa, like I said. Second is Virginia Beach, Virginia. Then it's Nashville, Tennessee. And then Orlando is number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. And then the other cities that are in Florida in the mid-size range, Cape Coral's there as well as Palm Bay. But Florida is by far the most desirable state and all of that. And where people don't want to live is the District of Columbia and New York City, and then that's followed by San Francisco, Chicago, and Detroit. And basically, I think that this comes down to where people feel safe is a lot of what it comes down to, is what they were saying, and that was the most important thing to most people, was that they felt safe. And in those bigger cities, they've got a lot of stuff that's going on right now that they're trying to resolve. And so as a result of that, that's just where people generally don't really want to live a whole lot. So we're blessed that we're right in the middle of where everybody wants to be, and why not? And so as a result of that, that's why I believe that our housing prices are staying very consistent and where they're at, because people are moving from other areas because this is where they want to be. And so as a result of that, that's enough people that are coming in, and then at more than what are going out. And the other side of the coin is that with the interest rates where they're at, it makes it prohibitive for people to move in as well. Another study that I found this week said that the typical down payment is a record $67,500, and nearly 3 in 5 U.S. buyers put down more than 10% of the purchase price with the goal of lowering the mortgage payments. And many get money from family members to help. So basically, what's going on out there is that there's a lot more money going down. There's a lot more cash going on out there. And so as a result of that, that's why it's coming out so high. And I was working with several people this week, and one of them that I was working with, didn't want to move, or was thinking that they didn't want to move because they have such a low interest rate. They're at 2.8 right now, and they're only financed about 50% of the house. And so, or a little bit less even than that. So their payment, including, taxes and insurance and everything, is only $1,200 a month. whereas I know some people are paying 1,200 a month just for insurance. But basically, the bottom line is for her is that she was thinking, hey, I actually would like to live in this other area. She moved where she's at right now because the prices were great and she didn't think that it was going to matter if she moved away from her kids. It's only like 45 minutes away, but she doesn't drive very much anymore. And so she really wants to be close to her kids. So she thought she would move to this other area. So we were trying to figure out how we could make it happen. And I think that we've got it figured out. We're still working on it. But basically, we ran into a house that actually has an assumable mortgage on it at 2.25%, for about the same mortgage as what she's got on her house right now. So what our goal is and what we're going to be doing is we're working on trading the house that she's in now for this other house. So because it has an assumable mortgage, it makes it very easy to be able to maintain that 2.25% on that loan amount. And then when she sells her house, she'll have the equity from that and she'll be able to put that down on the new house. And since the houses are about the same value, just in different areas, it'll work out just fine. So she's going to have her closing costs, and that's all that's really going to come out of pocket for her, which is something that she's really looking forward to. But basically, there is a lot of cash out there in the market, probably more than some people think and everything. Actually, I don't know exactly. I should do a study on it again. I usually I have a search set up on that I can just pull it up pretty quickly. But basically, when it was coming down to it, and we're looking at where people pay cash the most, actually, West Palm Beach is where the highest amount is. And that was basically that they were, I think it was like 80% of the properties were being sold for cash, which is an awful lot. So that's just something that, you have to know that people you're competing with out there when you're doing that. But we have some options for that we can help sellers that they're able to do that and everything as well. One of the things that they talked about, though, when we're looking at loans, is that the FHA loans fell to the lowest level in nearly 2 years. Now, the reason for that, I believe, is because when you're looking at a lot of the people that are buying, they've already owned in the past, and so they're selling something, and the FHA comes maybe with some extra charges on that, or it also comes with some loan limits as well. In every area, there's a maximum of what you can get on an FHA home. So as a result of that, there are definitely some decreases in the number of FHA loans that have happened, not in the number of loans overall, but basically the FHA loans. So that's interesting as well when you're looking at it. So in saying all that, you might say, well, what even is an FHA loan? And an FHA loan is a loan that's insured by the government that basically the government backs up. So people that's the easiest loan for most people to get. It's 3.5% down. And then you do have a mortgage insurance that's going to be paid the life of the loan as well, which is another reason why everybody doesn't necessarily want to go with it. But many times it might be the best option and the cheapest option, for you. But anyway, I'm out of time here on this segment. So I'm going to let you guys go and be back in a couple seconds. But basically, in order to get in touch with us, you can call or text 407-566-2555. You can find us online at centralfloridarealestateradio.com, and we will see you after the break. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Laura Peterson, your host of Central Florida Real Estate Radio. I'm from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and to discuss the sale of your home, you can call or text 407-566-2555. That's 407-566-2555. 2555. So basically, I was looking at something for buyers the other day, and I think that sometimes buyers get stressed because they're trying to figure out, what to do, what's the best thing for them, and what would they want to do. So the first thing that you need to have is clarity and confidence, I believe, as a buyer when it's out there and looking at the market. So whether it's what you're going to do in regards to your financing, if it's what you're going to do in regards to finding a property, or what's going to be most important to you overall, I think having that clarity and confidence is absolutely necessary for people. And so when you're looking at it, is that you have to have an understanding in regards to what's going to happen, step A, B, C, D, E. And when you know that, then obviously that's the clarity part that helps you, go along with everything that's going on, because it can be very stressful when you're buying a house. And so I just like to, walk alongside people and work with them in regards to, what's important to you and finding that out. And then we're able to navigate those waters, pretty efficiently and pretty well. And buying a house, although stressful, is actually a lot of times a lot of fun too, because it's something new, it's something that you've been dreaming of, it's something that you've been working a long time for, or you've had some kind of a life change that it's either going to make your life easier, or it's going to make it more efficient, or you're going to have more amenities or have something better. So there's always some reason that when you go through, purchasing a home, that makes it worth it all in the end, that you're like, wow, I'm really glad that I did that. And I think that's one of the first questions that you have to ask yourself when you get going in the day is, what do I really, what am I trying to accomplish here, and what's going to be a win for me? And when I wake up a year from now in this house, am I going to feel better than where I'm at right now? And I think that that's a really good question that you have to ask yourself, where do I want to be a year from now or 2 years from now or whatever? And is it where I'm at right now, or is it somewhere else? And so that's the first question that you have to ask yourself, because you probably have a roof over your head now. So deciding where you're going to go with it really makes a difference in figuring out, what the scoop is on that. So, your assistants that we are kind of are with people every step of the way. So we start out with you finding out what your goals and desires and needs and wants and all of those kinds of things are. And then we take that and we actually find you the property that matches it. But there's other steps along the way in regards to, how are you going to finance it? Is it something that you do have the cash for, or is it something that you're going to get a loan from? And where are you going to get that loan? And what kind of loan are you going to get? And so we help you navigate through all of those waters in order to find out. And many times people are qualified much more of a home than they actually purchase. And that's all good, because it's just living within your means. And so we help you actually determine, talking to the lenders, how much of a house that you want to buy right now. Is it something that is on a lower level, or is it on a higher level? And it's kind of a pretty intricate determination on that, because you also have to determine if, say that you want to buy a house for 350,000 versus 450,000, and the difference in those two houses might be between like day and night in regards to what you want. So you can't always have it all. So you might have to pay a little bit more to get what you want. But you might be totally satisfied with something that's a little bit less than everything as well. So it just really takes, navigating through those waters to figure out what the best thing is when it comes down to it, for you and your family. And so you've got to go through all of those things, but more things when it comes to clarity and all of that kind of stuff. Obviously, you've got the lenders out there, you've got the title companies that you're working with, the inspection companies, etc., that go on. There's a lot, to a sale that happens, and figuring it all out and what's going to be the best thing, like I said, for you and your family. But I think that one of the things that it comes down to that definitely helps is communication. And, we have a study that shows that would people go back to the real estate agent that they used in the past? And a lot of times, the reason that they don't want to go back to them is because of poor communication. So, communication is critical because there's a lot of unknowns and everything out there that you may not know as a first time buyer, or even a second time buyer, or even as a seasoned person. I've got a lot of people that I work with that, buy and sell houses all the time, but they still have questions. They have houses that they think are gonna, fit their portfolio, or fit their lifestyle of what they're looking at doing next. But once they start getting into it, they're like, okay, well, I don't really know this, this, and this. So it's kind of a dance going through it all to figure out what's the best thing for you and your family in order to get that done. But it all comes down to communication, and really you talking with us and us talking with you to make sure that we're all on the same page and finding you that property. I know a couple of years ago, during COVID, that they were saying that 80% of the buyers that bought homes during that period of time were not happy with their home purchase when they looked up a year later. Well, thankfully, we don't have that type of statistic with the people that we work with, but unfortunately, that was the reality for a lot of people. So when you're looking at that and thinking about it, and you're going, okay, why would that be? And I think basically it came down to communication. Maybe they didn't communicate with their agent because they didn't ask enough questions in regards to what they were really looking for. And it was a feeding frenzy, I'll give you that. But that they were just like, hey, whatever I can get, I don't care. It's like, I just want to get it. And basically, that's never a good plan when it comes down to it. That you're buying a house sight unseen, potentially giving up your ability to inspect and all of that kind of thing. I mean, we certainly had our share of people that went through that multiple offer situation, but we went through it maybe a little different than everybody else, not just the highest and best, and we're going to get it at all costs. Is that we really looked at it makes sense to do that house. And because there is another one available, and right now the inventory's starting to turn into a buyer's market a little bit. And we've just been creeping up house by house by house, a little bit at a time, month over month, week over week, that 100 houses a year more coming on the market. So I haven't really seen prices go down, which I've had a couple of people that were trying to argue with me on that this week. But when you really look at it, the prices have still stayed very consistent. And when you look year over year, they're definitely up. So there's definitely that dichotomy there, and that I think you just have to look at it, not look at what the market's doing, but look at what you're doing, and does your picture fit into the market? But I'll finish talking about this after the break. In order to get in touch with us, you can call or text 407-566-2555. You can find us online at centralfloridarealestateradio.com, and we'll see you after the break. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Laura Peterson, your host of Central Florida Real Estate Radio. I'm from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and in order to discuss the sale of your home, you can call or text 407-566-2555. That's 407-566-2555. So I was talking the last segment in regards to buyers that really weren't satisfied and what's it going to take for buyers to get the stress out of the situation. And basically, we came up with so far talking about assistance and how people like myself can really help you, navigate through those waters. And second of all, then we were talking next in regards to communication and how critical that is. And that's both ways. It's not just me communicating with you, it's you communicating with me. Like when we go through and are touring a home, I'm going to say, what do you like about it? What don't you like about it? And what, if it was different, what would it be that would cause you to purchase this home? Or are you interested in purchasing it now? But really going through and digging deeper, I guess, in regards to what you like and don't like really helps us hone in on really finding that perfect house. So you want to make sure that you do that. But it also comes down to the experience that somebody has in helping others, and we're always learning. There's never a deal that happens that I don't learn something, it seems like. And even though I've been doing this for 19 years now, I still run into new circumstances and new deals and all of that kind of thing. And I love it. I think it's great. You're constantly learning and constantly going to that next level. And just as an aside here, and probably where I could just kind of hang here, is that what I found is that over the years is that the iBuyers that are out there, which are the guys that come in there and pay cash, and then they might sit on it or they might sell it, but they're corporations that are coming in and buying houses. And some of that I think is good, and some of it I think is harmful. But there's some of it that's good, and we're really involved in a lot of that. And what that is that when you're looking at that in today's market, I read something 5 years ago that said that they thought that by 2025, that they said like 30% of the house sales, an iBuyer would be somehow involved in it. And I thought, wow, that's pretty quick and coming on. And we're not that far away from 2025. We're already in September, and September 1st, actually, and Labor Day weekend. So I hope everybody's having a great weekend. But basically, the bottom line is that I do feel like a lot of that stuff is starting to happen now, that there are a lot of cash options that you can do, and that you can get yourself out of it. So it's kind of the way that the cars have gone, is that real estate is a bigger ticket item than the cars. But it used to be that I can remember when I was young that my dad would buy a car from somebody on the street, and he didn't know how long it would run, but he didn't care. It was kind of, he would buy, I mean, I remember buying cars for like 200 or 300 bucks and stuff like that, and they were old, and we were like, should we get in it or not? But basically, they lasted a couple of years, and so it was a great buy for him and everything. And I can remember some of those cars pretty fondly. But basically, and they'd be probably worth a lot of money today because they were definitely older cars. But basically, the bottom line is that you don't buy cars from people too much. You're buying them from lots and all of that kind of stuff. And when you turn in your car, a lot of times the dealer doesn't even keep it there. They send it to auction, and then they're buying the cars that they want on their lot. So real estate is kind of, in a way, heading in that direction. And it's probably something that I should spend a lot more time on, and I probably will next week going over. But basically, there's all kinds of companies that can come in and give you options in regards to what you want to do on your home. Say you need a new roof. There's a company that'll come in, they'll put the roof on it for you, and you don't have to pay anything until closing. You don't have to manage the project. They do all that. They do everything for you. So you're still living in the house and everything like that, but then you're going to get a lot more money for your house because it has a new roof, for example, if it needed that. Secondly, there's companies that'll come in there that will buy your new house for you or help you get the money to do that with a new loan, but they'll carry your old house for you until you get out of it and you go ahead and fix it up or whatever, but you're not there for the showings, and so you're kind of out of the way. So that's another situation that's out there. So there's so many options out there. There's companies that'll come in there and they'll buy, give you like 80% of your money now or more, and then they'll put it on the market and give you the rest of it after they sell it again. And the fee for that is pretty minimal. And you might think, well, that's kind of crazy, but there's a lot of people that don't want to be there for the showing. So you could get your money and run for the most part, but at the same time, you've still got a lot of money coming in. And these companies aren't, in my opinion, very expensive, that they're coming in reasonable and there's a lot of options. So I'd like to spend more time on this, which I think I will next week. But basically, what I want all sellers to know that there are options out there. And if you want to know what they are, just go ahead and call me and I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it. But I'm running out of time here and I wanted to get to the house of the week. And this is actually a house in Winter Park. Now, this house does come with an assumable mortgage, like I was talking about earlier. It's at 2.25%. So this is a pool home. It's a 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2 car garage. Basically, it's in Winter Park, like I said, for 445,000. It's on over a half acre of land. The house was built in the 80s, and you might think, oh my gosh, but everything in it, from what I can tell, has been redone, including the windows, including the roof was just redone, new appliances in the last few years. So this house is gorgeous, ready to go, and ready for that new owner. So if you have any interest in that, just give us a call and let us know, and we'll be happy to help you. But in order to get in touch with us, you can call or text 407-566-2555. You can find us online at centralfloridarealestateradio.com. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your Labor Day weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.